The cashier quietly looked up from the register. "I'm sorry, your card was declined." The little cans of baby formula remained on the counter as people in line began shifting impatiently. David shifted his sleeping daughter higher on his shoulder, searching every pocket as if another card might somehow appear. Standing a few feet away, millionaire Olivia watched the entire scene in silence. 5 months later, everything about her life would be different. And it would start with a girl too young to know she'd changed it. Before we continue, if stories about kindness and unexpected family touch your heart, leave a comment. Where are you watching from? Olivia had built one of the country's most successful investment firms. Yet every evening ended the same way. A silent dining room. An empty house. Messages asking for favors, investments, introductions. Almost never asking how she was. Despite owning several luxury cars and a personal driver, every Saturday she still visited the same neighborhood supermarket alone. She said it helped her remember what ordinary life looked like. Secretly, it reminded her how far she'd drifted from it. That Saturday, the line stopped moving. David stood frozen beside the register, work boots covered in dried concrete dust, his daughter Grace asleep against his chest. "I'm sorry," the cashier repeated gently. "The payment didn't go through." He glanced at 2 cans of formula and quietly asked her to remove one. Then another. Finally, only a loaf of bread remained. His free hand trembled slightly. Not from anger, but from embarrassment. Olivia stepped forward before anyone else could speak. "I'll cover it." He shook his head. "You don't have to." "I know." She paid anyway. He thanked her, clearly uncomfortable accepting help from a stranger, and introduced himself before leaving. "My name's David. This is Grace." Olivia smiled at the sleeping toddler. "I'm Olivia." That should have been the end of it. Instead, as David walked toward the parking lot, Olivia noticed something unusual. He wasn't walking to a car. He crossed the street and disappeared behind an abandoned construction site. Curiosity outweighed her schedule. Keeping a respectful distance, she followed. Beyond the unfinished concrete walls stood a shelter made from plywood, plastic sheets, and old tarps. Inside were 2 folding beds, a small crib pushed into the driest corner, a camping stove, and a few crayon drawings taped to bare concrete walls. David noticed her. Embarrassment crossed his face. "I didn't want you to see this." He looked down, gently laying Grace in the crib. "I had an apartment. Then the building was sold. Rent doubled. It's just the 2 of us. Her mother passed when Grace was born. I work every construction job I can find, but every paycheck disappears before the next one comes." He forced a tired smile. "I'm not asking anyone to rescue us." Olivia looked around the unfinished structure. For the first time in years, she realized the loneliest place she'd seen that day wasn't this shelter. It was her own mansion. If you're wondering why she made the decision that changed both their lives, stay with us. This was only the beginning. Olivia didn't make her offer that afternoon. She returned the next morning. Then, the morning after that. Sometimes she brought groceries, sometimes a warmer blanket for Grace's crib. One weekend she arrived with a contractor who quietly repaired the leaking roof. David accepted it reluctantly, insisting on paying her back one day. What surprised Olivia wasn't his gratitude, it was his pride. He refused anything he hadn't earned. After several weeks, heavy rain flooded part of the site. Water crept beneath the plywood walls overnight. Standing in ankle-deep water, cradling Grace to keep her dry, Olivia finally spoke. "I have a guest house. Stay there until you get back on your feet." David shook his head. "We'll manage." She looked at Grace, wide awake now in his arms. "You already have. That's exactly why I'm asking." After a long silence, he agreed. The guest house stood behind Olivia's mansion beneath tall oak trees. It was larger than any home David had rented before, yet he treated every room with extraordinary care, as though afraid to leave a mark on anything. Life changed in ways Olivia never expected. A toddler's laughter drifted through the garden. Small shoes appeared near the front steps. The kitchen lights turned on before sunrise. One evening, Olivia walked downstairs expecting another silent dinner. Instead, she found David repairing a loose cabinet door while Grace stacked blocks on the floor nearby. He noticed her watching and smiled awkwardly. It kept squeaking. She laughed for the first time in years. Another evening, she found a crayon drawing on the counter, 3 stick figures holding hands. No signature. None was needed. If you're enjoying this story so far, subscribe and stay with us. The hardest moment was still ahead. Months later, David found steady work managing projects for a growing construction company. For the first time in years, he could afford a place of his own. One afternoon, he walked into Olivia's office carrying a small envelope. I think it's time. Inside was a rental agreement. He'd saved enough to move. Olivia smiled politely. But after he left, the mansion felt strangely empty again. The silence had returned. Only now she noticed it. A week later, David came back to return the guest house keys. He found Olivia alone on the back terrace, staring across the quiet gardens. For a long moment, neither spoke. Finally, with uncertainty, David asked, "Are you all right?" She smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. "I spent years believing this house was everything I wanted." She looked toward the empty windows. "Turns out, it was just very expansive loneliness." David lowered his eyes. Then he quietly placed the keys back into his pocket. "We don't have to leave completely." She looked at him, confused. "We could have dinner here sometimes. Sundays, maybe." His smile was hesitant. "If you'll have us." Grace tugged at Olivia's sleeve, holding up a crayon drawing of a house with 3 people standing outside it. For the first time in years, Olivia felt something she couldn't buy, negotiate, or invest in. She felt needed. Months later, the mansion no longer looked like a museum. It looked like a home. Friends from David's work stopped by for barbecues. Grace's laughter filled the garden. Holidays were celebrated around one long table instead of one empty chair. People often assumed Olivia had rescued David and his daughter. The truth was far more complicated. They had rescued her, too. Not from poverty, but from a life where success had become a substitute for connection. If this story stayed with you, share it with someone who believes kindness can change both the person who gives it and the person who receives it. And tell us in the comments, if you were Olivia, would you have opened your home to a complete stranger? Or would fear have stopped you?